Hello, welcome to New Realities. And what is the name of your website, Val?
ValSecrets.com.
ValSecrets.com. I'm here, Alan Steinfeld with Val TIgnini, and we are doing our ongoing podcast called Something Out There. And Val just returned from a beautiful trip to the south of France where the Mary Magdalene shrines are. And why don't you talk a little bit about what happened and your upgrades of consciousness there?
Yes. So when I first signed up to this retreat, um, I, I know I'm the leader of the retreat, but I felt like I also signed up for it because it's the divine feminine was calling me out there. And some people think that Mary Magdalene is tied to a religion. She's not. She just happens to be, included in that story, in that biblical story as a religious figure. She has nothing to do with religion. She's actually very connected, if not the reincarnate of Isis.
Mm-hmm.
And so this divine feminine is not just from a earthly or physical person, but more from like this galactic, universal divine mother, divine feminine.
So you're saying that Mary Magdalene, who people may or may not know, or some people think was the wife of Jesus, right?
Yes.
And Jesus and Mary Magdalene, according to some beliefs, are the sort of cosmic divine couple in a sense.
That's right. They represented the cosmic or divine masculine and feminine during that time and brought in some codes to shift consciousness.
So what was your feeling when you went to these Magdalene sites? What kind of downloads or energies did you pick up there?
Right. So she feels very these codes are very galactic.
Wait, what do you mean by codes, though? That's the key.
So every being carried certain codes, right? Every divine.
I still know what you mean by codes.
I know. I'm going to get into that.
Good.
So codes are essentially the way it integrates information or energy that integrates onto the planet through galactic connection. And so
I think you're saying they're like vibrational signatures that come in and kind of give us new, maybe not solid information, but they give us new ideas, new higher frequency. That's a code. Okay.
Yes. It's a certain frequency that comes from the galactics and can go into your consciousness or your physical body or shift your DNA. It could do all as well. So it's what you're connected to. We all come in with codes, and then eventually we kind of lose the codes through, being poisoned through our environment.
You can go to sacred sites and
activate the codes.
Activated, yes.
That's right. So we, most people are through religion don't believe that we reincarnate, but then some people are starting to feel more and more their past lives or their future lives. Mm-hmm. And so this reincarnation, this idea of reincarnation is important because you're connecting to other parts of yourself, which could be integrated into this being that is experiencing life reality now.
Well, what's your relationship to Mary Magdalene? Do you feel like a soul connection there, or reincarnation of that, or what?
Yeah, I didn't like to say anything in public in that way, but
I've met about 50 women who say that.
I know. And it's, the thing is never to claim yourself as a person. It's always best to let others show you. And then also the key to reincarnation, which actually Max Christensen also confirmed for me, is that it's not about what you feel. It's not about like these I don't know, coincidences or experiences that you're having. It's really about the matrix, how it aligns, and how you also carry the same exact abilities as that being.
Right. I think there are frequencies that great beings emanate, and many people pick up aspects of those frequencies. They may not be the reincarnation of that, but those people set a precedent of frequencies that then go out, and other people through time pick up those vibrational fragments and incorporate them. And then people think they are them. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't, but it's the energetic imprints that those great things leave that we pick up on. And it doesn't have to be like an ego identification. I was that person. This, there's aspects that, and we're all a part of everything anyway. So
that's right. So my feeling is that, well, there scientifically on the esoteric level, there's 13 oversouls from an avatar. And if Mary Magdalene was indeed an avatar, which I believe she was.
Well, you want to define, I would say avatars are people who've been through the human cycle and have come back to lift others up. I mean, I would say a realized being who incarnates onto the earth plane, I would call an avatar.
Yes, and has extraordinary abilities, superhuman-like abilities.
Like what? How do you what? Like what? What's a super?
So, by locating, you know, of course, you know, energy healing or energy activations, levitation, you know, mind reading. But this is not just one. Usually they have all of these. It's not just one. I'm intuitive. I do that. No. It has to be this whole selected. Like you are superhuman. You have many abilities, like moving things with your mind, shifting weather.
Avatars, but we're all moving into that avatar state of consciousness.
Yes, we are.
Yes,
we are.
So when you went to Rennes-le-Château, which was I guess the last home of Mary Magdalene, what did you feel there? What was the vibration?
Well, I bet, you know, we were many. If you want to talk about Rennes-le-Château,
places you were at. I forgot you were at many places. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, every place is different. It's like putting a puzzle together. And what I was there for is to reactivate those vortexes, to reestablish the connection into the earth and galactically into this new era of consciousness, which is really shifting. Not people think it's all about the divine feminine, but it's quite the contrary. It's about the balance of the divine feminine and the divine masculine.
Right.
And that's really what the codes, the reactivation that I was bringing in. And then, of course, as a gift, I would receive codes.
So you used your body, just so people who don't know you, to access these vibrational frequencies, and then you transmit that to others because you're kind of an open channel to the source because of your Kundalini awakening. You bring it in these sacred places.
Yeah, so the people that came with me on this retreat are very special beings. And basically, it's like they were holding that energy for me and also emanating it through themselves and receiving as well. So they were, I don't know, like think about like a battery that has different connections to that battery. And it's like a grid, you know, electrical grid. And so they were representative of that. So that's what I think is so special about traveling with people while doing these kinds of activations, is that you're incorporating. I felt like they were almost like a representative of humanity, because it wasn't just women, it was men as well.
Right. So when you go and get these downloads, what do then people learn from that, and
Yes.
what
So
happens?
many of them connect to the strictly to the divine feminine, but some people connect galactically, and they feel, and like, for example, at Lebans, which is the baths, the sacred baths, so the Fountain of Amour is where Mary Magdalene used to do activation water blessings.
Where's that, in France as well, you
It's
said?
right by Rennes-le-Château.
Oh, really? I didn't see that when I was there. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's magical. So at that moment, I could feel all these beings, galactic beings coming down and and really like holding space for me so
Mm,
that I could activate this vortex. And I didn't tell anybody this, but then they started telling me back, like, oh, I saw, I felt, these galactic beings in the water above us, supporting this energetic
mm,
experience.
mm,
So, the thing is, like, people have guides,
mm.
and they think that they're coming from, uh, you know, somewhere else, the heavens, or fifth dimension, sixth dimension, whatever it is. But my feeling is that the guides are all galactic beings.
Mm. But I agree that, well, in a way, we're all galactic beings too. But these guys are aware of their multidimensionality, I think. So when you open up, actually, you kind of spread that vibration around the planet. I actually even felt it in New York, what was happening there. And as we all become antennas of new frequencies, we do spread it around the planet. And avatars are people who help uplift the vibration of the whole planetary grid. So each of these grid points become key energetic portals for many people to come and visit and be activated in their own higher frequencies.
Yes. Alan, it's good that you mentioned that, because I feel like, maybe 6,000 years, 30,000 years ago, 50,000 years ago, we had to build the structures like the pyramid,
Mm,
and many pyramids, right? But now the new pyramids are humans.
mm, mm. The new pyramids are, you mean we all emanate a vortex? This is part of the earth changes. This is part of the frequency changes that human beings are, I would say, ascending to, if we want to use that word. Wait, someone has a comment here. I just saw, you have to connect to the quantum physics field through deep meditation. Your whole body becomes electric, super conscious awareness, from Eugene. Thank you, Eugene, for that. So
I
what?
mean, I think, yeah, go ahead, Alan.
No, I'm just saying, what do you recommend? I mean, people have laid out these portal sites, but I think the more people that go there, the more activated, the higher frequencies the earth will have. But what were you going to say?
Well, I was thinking, for example, like this guy saying to meditate or whatever. I also think that that's also like the practice of the practice is also dying out, because we need to start becoming that on a every moment basis, that we are the walking meditation, we are the quantum field, and knowing that actually just elevates you in every moment. To me, I what I was telling you, I think it was yesterday, I'm losing track of time as well, is that I'm starting to feel deeper and deeper in the non-dualistic reality, in the oneness, where I, separation of self is becoming less and less.
Mm.
Uh, of course, there are moments that I'm pulled out,
Uh-huh.
but majority of the time of the day, and even of the night, I'm feeling the non-dualistic reality.
You're feeling that, like, you're feeling what? That your frequency is coming into an alignment?
I'm just feeling very high vibrational frequency, where the mind does not operate on the regular, well, I should say the ego. My ego is not operating on that current, on that wavelength where it's saying, I'm Val, I gotta do this, I'm this, I that, I this.
Who are
No,
you then? Who, if you're not Val, if you're not your personality?
I am.
Hmm. That is that is the right answer, because as soon as you put something after I am, you become that limited thing.
Yeah.
The I am that I am is the true, I guess, vibration of the soul, and we all are that. And so you feel like more of your personality is dropping away, more of
Yeah.
your personal desires, likes, dislikes, judgments.
Yeah.
And are they dropping away because you visited these sacred sites, or because, or both, maybe your frequency is just
Yeah.
accelerating?
I
And
think, there's people feel like you do this and then you get this result, right? I just feel like that was the the timeline of what I had to experience. And so I feel like that's what's going to happen as I get older, that this identification of self starts to kind of wear down. I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to do anything.
you'll do it because the limited self is what you're talking about, the personality, but the force of creation doesn't stop coming through you. It actually increases. So then your will becomes thy will, is what some people have called it. You become the vehicle for pure consciousness. So it seems, and people have achieved that, what has to be done gets done, and you're more guided by the higher forces than the personal ego that wants things just for themselves.
Hmm. And that the thing is really going deeper into the heart,
Mm.
into that heart consciousness. And when you do that, you start to realize that nothing really matters on beyond that, beyond love, that love frequency, that love vibration. And if you start to stray away from that, you suffer.
Yeah. And it also takes trust. When you say you don't know how, it's like if you trust and surrender, I'm not saying that's easy, but if you can just let that go and flow, then, I think everything is taken care of. I think you become a vehicle for divine creation, and because of your background, you embody a certain divine feminine aspect that can also bring in a higher nurturing, loving frequencies.
Yes. And I feel like this is the new wave of consciousness, the new humanity starting to integrate this, that again, the masculine and the feminine, where we get things done, but then we also have this sensitivity, this loving, nurturing side of us. So we have to have both. So we're not just like doing nothing, laying on the couch and doing nothing, because we have work to do. We're laying foundation and land for future generations.
Well, what's so interesting about you is that, what was it, maybe 10 years ago, you had no idea about any of that. You thought
Yeah.
you were your personality, you were acting, you were doing
Yeah.
all these things, and you were living in a little box. Can you
Mm.
talk about who you were then and who you are now, and the different states of mind that kind of have overcome you?
Mm. Living in that little box gave me great anxiety.
It,
Deep inside yes, I had anxiety issues where I actually created an ulcer in my own self. And
mm,
the day of my Kundalini awakening, the ulcer was healed, which was due to being limited in that box. But there was always a part of me that knew I was not limited to that box. And
there was
that's why
part
I
of
had
you
to,
that always was awakened on some level.
yes, and that was the reason why I had the anxiety, is because I just knew there was so much more than this
Mm.
limitation.
Mm. I think my friend M. Love says, after visiting sacred, she would concur, after visiting sacred sites in the Himalayas, I returned with a profound sense of oneness, nothingness, just feeling I am that in each moment. So
Mm.
sacred sites that have been activated to hold these new energies help us separate from this ego personality, because we're being infused or downloaded or encoded, whatever you say, with the divine, the multidimensional frequencies that take us out of that box.
Yes, because the sacred sites are connecting on the cosmic level.
Mm-hmm.
It's as above, so below, and that those energies are running through us as we move into the closer into that vortex, and then we become one with the vortex.
Mm-hmm. But now what? Here you are back with your family life, back home. I mean, how do you carry that frequency back into the ordinary world?
It's a good question. I took my daughter on this trip, and I can also see a huge shift in her. There's
How
more.
old is she?
She's 6.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a very special girl, but she was downloading a lot of information, and she was then giving people readings, oracle readings of what she receives throughout the trip.
Really? She herself at 6 was giving oracle readings. Amazing.
Yeah. This is a new humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, my relationship with my daughter is definitely special. I feel like we're on the same plane, the same level. So there's no, our vibration is the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then in regards to the rest of my family, I just there's a little bit of space, a little bit of space.
What
But
do you mean a little bit of space? They're not on your frequency. They're like,
I don't know. Well, I keep that space, and maybe the space is already there. I don't know. I can't tell. Probably the space is already there.
uh-huh.
But I do feel that they are evolving. As I evolve, they're evolving. It's kind of like the domino effect.
Mm.
Maybe not as strong, but there is a difference.
Well, as you evolve, as I evolve, we emanate a field that does affect others. And, I think the struggle is, are we going to be pulled down to those levels or help raise up, And
Yeah.
so that's where we have to maintain our own sense of self if we can, and emanate the field no matter what we might be getting. So,
Right.
and
Well,
that
Alan, what about you? Like, what right now? Like, you say you were feeling some things from when I was in France, but then where are you? What are you doing right now?
oh, well, I'm in Northern California. I'm going to be speaking about some UFOs this weekend. I'm actually doing a remote viewing course as well at what is this place? Northern California. I'm doing this remote viewing course at. Let me just tell people where to find this. If I'll get back to that, but I'm also hanging out with JJ and Desiree Hertog, who I think generate a very high frequency of energy, and they downloaded something called the Keys of Enoch. So where Dr. Hertog, JJ Hertog, was taken up with his body to these higher realms and met the masters that you're talking about face to face. So I like the information he brings through and the energy and the frequency, and being in that field, they also feel more connected to these multidimensional aspects of myself. So
That's interesting because that came up in France.
What came up?
The Keys of Enoch. Well, that's what I feel like is also connected to. Yeshua is also connected to that.
To the Keys of Enoch. Well,
Yeah.
Enoch was one of those ascended masters that came.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that came up. And the last night while we were there, I called in some UFOs, and they came, and they were, and it was amazing because I think I told you this yesterday. The craft merged with the star, and it was the first time I saw something like that. I always see them leaving, kind of demanifesting, but this time they went into their star planet, which is really cool. Or I don't know, maybe it's their what's it called, the black hole kind of thing.
Did they have a message for you?
Yes. The message is always repetitive. It's always, we're very happy with what you're doing. we're very happy with what you're doing.
That's what they said to you.
Yes, and I said it out loud to everybody. I said, "We're very happy with what we've done," and it was the last night.
Nice. Well, I think more and more people are getting these download frequencies when I'm doing lectures. So I'm doing one at Grace Hearth in Petaluma tomorrow, and then I'm speaking at the MUFON Mutual UFO Network on Saturday up in Sonoma Marin. That's also in Petaluma. And then next week I'm going to Lightning in a Bottle. And it's all about activating this mind that you were talking about that's separate from the personality. Most of the time, our thoughts are so caught up with identifying who we are. I'm this, I'm that, I own this, this is my family, these are. And if we can separate from that, we start to tap into these realms and we can access what the Aborigines call the dream time.
That's what my next workshop is called, Dreamtime session.
Well, that's what I'm talking about at Lightning in a Bottle, actually, because Dreamtime, and I studied with the Aborigines when I went to Australia. They were beautiful, beautiful, very spiritual beings that were overrun by the Western European civilization, but they were able to hold on to what they call, in a sense, their religion of Dreamtime. But it's not exclusive to them. We do it every night, but we're disconnected. It's like when we go to sleep, a switch goes off and another switch goes on. Then when we wake up, we forget everything that has happened in those realms. But if you study the dream time and if you go into the dream time, there's a place when you're falling asleep where the normal thoughts sort of shift and you start to see things in the state that you don't expect. It's like images that are not from your mind start to emerge, and then you know you're in the dream time. It's as if you're being fed new information from the universe. Like when you look around outside here, you're not making that up, but you are projecting what you think is out there onto the world, but you're always surprised by something new. That's why we look around. That's why we hear new noises, because we're in this interchange with the universe. When people go to sleep and dreaming, they think all those images are just coming from inside their own psychological mind. But in dream time, we realize that we're interfacing with another level of reality. So when we're in that state, we can start to be aware of looking around, in a sense. This is what I call it. And being aware of new ideas, new images that come into our mind that's outside our psychology. This is what I say. It's not dreaming, it's dream time, because there's an awareness of this interface.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm doing. And as you remember our last conversation, you mentioned that the Greeks used to do this, which I had no idea. And so it's coming up. It's May 17th in New York City, right by your apartment, Alan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the ABC Sanctuary.
Oh, right. That is down the street. So you take people into a space where they can start to be in that in-between worlds.
Yes. And then in that process, I'm also exuding energy where they can heal. And so some people may not be able to sleep. So they're never really sleeping. They're actually, some of them stay awake the whole time, but their eyes are closed and they're having visions, but they're still consciously awake.
Right. One person says there's no telling what is and is not from your own mind. That's true in a way, but what I'm seeing, like when you look around you when you're awake, you know that it's not from your own mind. You know, I mean, it is
from your mind, yeah.
It is, in a sense. Like we actually, what I'm finding is that we don't have the language to identify mind and not mind, and dreams and not dreams. The best way,
streams of consciousness, yeah.
Yeah, I think in Spanish there's a word for in dreaming, right? And Sonia, I think it's called, as opposed to
Yeah,
dreaming.
Italian is sognare.
Sonia, and what's the other? Is there another word for dreams? Like,
Um, well, there's dreaming and there's dreams. So
yeah,
there's sogno and then there's sognare. To be dreaming and to have a dream.
right. I think it's more understandable in languages and cultures that are maybe more connected to that other part of the mind.
Yes.
Um,
Actually, in a biblical term, they used to call dreams omens.
right. They are omens because like this person says here in the chat, well, it's all coming from the mind, and it isn't all coming from the mind. We are interfacing with the unknown. Yeah, the greater mind, but like,
It's
what?
streams of consciousness.
Yeah, I mean, you're not coming from my mind. In a way you are, in a way you're not. I mean, everyone you interface with is an aspect of you, but it's also not an aspect of you. So it's this like line that we can't really describe in our language. This is why the evolution of a spiritual culture will start to redefine it. Yeah, Carlos Castaneda was someone who influenced my thinking in that, and he would say, look for your hands in your dreams, and then you know you're dreaming. And then if you could focus on something in dreams, it starts to change.
Absolutely.
Right.
I never knew that there was an actual, but I do that also with past life regression.
An actual technique. Yeah. Oh, there's many techniques, especially in the shamanic traditions to do this. But the best way to practice is when you wake up in the morning to not jump out of bed and to be in that state where you're still you're in and out of the dreams and you're still remembering what's happening, and then you can be loose. Then you could enter back into the dreams more awake, or what Edison used to do. He used to sleep with a weight in his hand, and then as he would fall asleep, the weight would fall out of his hand. It would wake him up, and he'd start to go into those dream states and start to get ideas. So I have found myself dreaming different parts of me and that awareness. So that's a practice. Like, yeah, hold a little weight in your hand and, and sleep. And as you,
there's also different crystals. So the Andara crystals, have you heard of them?
What crystals?
Andara.
No.
They hold beings, but you can hold certain types of crystals that will bring different kinds of dreams into your consciousness.
Herbs too. Actually, there are some
and oils.
Mugwort, which is a really common weed actually in the Northeast. It has a very sort of pungent smell. If you have a mugwort pillow, it will actually help you dream. And there's other dreaming herbs too. Yeah. Oh, Jason says Carlos focused on the candlelight. Right. You can do like a focused candlelight to get into those altered states. There's many things. But also, Val, you're sort of in an altered state when you start to download these frequencies, aren't you?
Yes, I'm always in an altered state.
That's good.
But yeah, that's really where we're going. It's becoming the multidimensional self. And I'm feeling this more and more. I fought it right after I had my Kundalini awakening because I could not be grounded, and I went through this process of trying to reground myself, and I was able to do that in the last, I want to say, 3 years, but now I feel like I'm going back into that where I'm becoming more multidimensional. And right now, like, I feel like I'm having the conversation, but I'm not having the conversation. Like, who's really talking here?
What do you mean? Do you feel like you're separating, detaching from your personality in that way?
Yeah, I really don't feel like I'm having the conversation. Like, I don't know who's talking.
That's good. That means you're starting to dissolve. I mean, that's a good thing because you're separating from the limited identification. So That's the first step, or maybe the second, where you don't know.
But I'm amazed that I'm even able to do things.
Well, if you trust that, then I think something more will emerge. If you can trust that not knowing, dissolve, surrender into that, then you'll be surprised at who you are. Like you're separating the ego personality from the higher self, divine aspects. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, and I'm most comfortable there. That's where I feel most comfortable being there.
I think most people actually do. That's that. Thank you for saying that. I think thank you for trusting that as well. And yeah, it's just when people know and they think and they create dogmas that we get lost. And
Yeah, I think people get scared of losing that identification of self.
yeah, because that's all they think they are. If they let it go, then they realize, well, they weren't that anyway.
That's right.
And then once you let that go, once you stop running the program of the personality, then you start to get more information.
Yes, and you're not carrying, you know, pain and anger and all that stuff that makes you sick and weighs you down.
Right. Stephen says, surrender to the oversoul. I am presence.
Mm,
Yeah. No, definitely.
exactly. That's what I was just mentioning before.
Mm. But yet, what I think me and you were allowing ourselves to be led and speak to people, because we're all in this together, you know.
We are. And once we start separating, then we start to kind of fall back into that old paradigm again.
Once we start separating, what do you mean by separating?
Well, once, people, even in the spiritual community, people think that, this practice is better than that practice, and this,
Oh, right.
you know what I mean?
Mm.
Which
My guru's bigger than your guru.
yeah.
No, I know. I think that is a problem, and it's just accepting everything, whatever is anybody's path,
Yeah, respect it.
respect it, honor it, and it's like maybe not your path, but it's a path,
Yeah,
or not. Maybe they don't even have a path. That's their path, So
right.
I think because the frequencies of the planet are raising, everyone is going to get something, get upgrade.
Yeah, I don't think many people have a choice. It's either they're going to accept it, get it, and progress, or they're just going to either get sick and then degress.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I think everyone's on their own path, and it's like everyone will get it eventually in some lifetime or in some.
Yeah, some lifetime, yes.
And I think what they're doing is what they need to do,
Yeah.
what they are here to do, and it's like there's divine grace that does happen that wakes people up, but or not. But I'm not.
Everyone has their own time frame, and
And it kind of makes it sort of fun that everyone's on all these different levels. Somebody's
I think so too. It makes it interesting, and
Mhm.
it makes you see the different multidimensional realities that we're all living.
Right. We're all in this great classroom on all these many levels with all these many interests. And I think if everyone was the same, it wouldn't be as interesting. I think we're all learning from each other. And if we judge someone as higher or lower, then we're actually creating more of the separation.
Mm.
I mean, I want to learn from everyone. I mean, most of the people have no idea what we're talking about, and that's because they're doing their thing. So I think everyone, because they have the divine essence, has something to teach.
Absolutely. The student even is a teacher.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's really exciting to be in this place that's so multifaceted. It's 11:11 right here in California.
Mhm.
you know. So what's your next adventure there, Val?
Yeah, so, I think May 17th to the 18th, I'm going to have this dreamtime session. You can join etherically, so you sign up, or and you just do it from your home, or you join in person, which of course is better.
How do
But
you sign up? Where's your
so go to valsecrets.com and you'll find the information there.
Mhm.
And then after that, I'm going to be coming to California to be with you, Alan. Contact in the desert.
Me and about 5,000 other people that
Yeah, but mainly you. And of course, my friend Charles and other people as well.
there's going to be great people at this conference. Linda Moulton Howe, Richard Dolan, really the top names in the
Mhm.
UFO field. Contact in the Desert, that's outside of Palm Springs, Indian Wells, May 31st to June 4th. Actually, for people watching now, I'm going to be interviewing later in the day in about 5 hours Russell Targ, who started remote viewing. And he's going to be talking about his talk at Contact in the Desert. So we'll be talking about remote viewing. And then this weekend, tomorrow, I'm teaching remote viewing based on what I learned from Russell Targ at the Grace Hearth Center in Petaluma. And on Saturday, I'm speaking at the Sonoma Marin MUFON conference. And then the following week, I'm going to Lightning in a Bottle, where there's going to be, 20,000 screaming millennials looking for information. And very open. And I'm excited about meeting a whole new population that we don't usually intersect with.
Yeah, I love dealing with millennials. Actually, you just gave me some sort of a flash that we should be doing a sort of like ET workshop at Alex Gray's place, because he
Yes,
gets a lot of millennials.
let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And next time, come out to Lightning in a Bottle, and we'll activate those people like we did in Washington, D.C. on the mall. We
Oh yeah,
we spoke at
that
the
was amazing. People today still tell me that that was really something.
really, that was a Disclosure Fest. I think there's another Disclosure Fest coming up in June in LA. So there's so many things happening
There is.
to awaken people, and I think that's what's so exciting now is that we are
Well, we're all on the ascension. We were descending for 12,000 years. Now we're coming back up again.
right. That's involution and evolution. So yeah, we'll have fun at Contact in the Desert for sure. Thanks for coming out there.
Yeah.
And there's so many other people that are accessing the new paradigm, that when we all come together, we create
Mhm.
this kind of social fabric where people can feel what it's like,
Mhm.
what the future will be like when we all kind of accept this greater reality. So
Yeah, I always say, like, when I go to these things, which I haven't been going that often, but I'm gonna say like a handful, but these are like my kind of people, because most of the time spirituality is separate from the galactic, friends that I call. They separate the two, or they talk about it, and then it's like, okay, but that's not important. But in my feeling, it is important. Actually, they were the ones that first awakened me. Um,
who
so
they? Wait, who's they? You're saying?
my friends,
Wait, who's who's that? You're saying?
ETs,
Oh, ETs. That was your first awakening.
yeah, when I was a young girl.
But we didn't have a context for that. Me too. I would see things at the windows and not know
Yeah,
what to do with it. As we build a new culture, we have a greater context to
yeah.
these. We could call them friends or higher dimensional beings.
I
And
mean, my feeling is that any high elevated divine being is an ET. So, so why do I need to focus on something that is human, that ascended? That to me is like, it's almost silly, because they were already ET. They're just kind of leaving you know their human ego minds behind, which I think we all are ET. We all have those genetics, but some people have cleaner DNA than others that are activated.
Yeah, I think everyone, depending on their soul evolution, is in the process of activation, and it's just how much do people want to hold on or let go and free. It's like corporations. Do they want to clean up the earth, or do they want to pollute the earth? I mean,
Right. Yeah.
and why would they want to pollute the earth except for their own greed? And the greed comes from their own ego minds, and
Yeah, but that's shifting as well.
I
You know,
hope so.
I was in London Heathrow, and I
Mhm.
see all these advertisements for, cleaner environment, cleaner earth. I was just amazed. Like a
Mhm.
lot of the companies are promoting that. That's
Mhm.
part of their, their MO. And yeah, so I think we're gonna be seeing a lot of that. So and I think that's the new consciousness that's coming through. So
Yeah, a consciousness that lives in harmony with the earth.
mhm.
Absolutely. And I think,
Speaking of harmony, Japan is also just received a new emperor, which is the new era means harmony, which is a huge shift for Japan itself.
wait, what means harmony, you're saying?
So the era that this new emperor is coming into
Uh-huh.
is the era of harmony.
That's in Japanese. That's a Japanese.
Yes. Yeah, so they have symbols and the symbol of this new era means harmony.
Mm.
And so things are going to really shift in Japan as well. So there's going to be a lot of worldly shifts, I feel. A lot.
Well, it's already happening,
Yeah, it is.
Well, then let's definitely connect. Let's get back next week into
Yeah,
the ET
and
conscious
we'll be together soon, so we could do one when we're together in LA or not LA, yeah.
contact in the desert. We could bring in some guest speakers as well.
Yes, yes, would love that. That'd be cool.
Let's do that. So that's
And yeah.
no, what were you gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna say that I miss you and that we have to bring you back. We have to bring you back to New York because we have to do more shooting for In the Flow.
All right. Do you want to just talk about this web series we're involved with?
Yes, actually, we're gonna make it as a film and we're going to put it in film festivals.
What
In
happened to the web series though?
Well, it'll be a long film with parts. So that we could submit it to film festivals. It'll just be a faster process to bring it out into the open, which it could become a web series as well. So anyway, we're doing a show called In the Flow. It's about a woman who is a regular person. She's a psychiatrist who has a spiritual awakening through Kundalini, and we show how she goes through this process. And she's living in a kind of multi-dimensional reality because there's another person in another dimension, a male who's writing the story about Kiara, my character, I'm in the film, and Johnny, who's Alan's character, and along with other characters. And Kiara decides to write a book about this other character, Declan, who's writing a book about her. So it's
Very
very
multi-dimensional.
multidimensional. I'm
Right.
sorry?
I was saying it's very
It
multidimensional.
is very multidimensional. But in the end, it's kind of like the OA where we kind of leave everybody hanging,
Hmm.
and so we'll see what happens.
Well,
But we need to shoot more scenes with you.
yeah. Okay. Definitely. Okay. Well,
But,
maybe we'll shoot something out there at Contact in the Desert that we can insert as well.
oh, cool.
As we go to one. There's a big, great viewing spot above the Palm Springs Desert, and there's top of this mountain that there's lots of
Oh
you.
yeah. Well, Alan, we mentioned yesterday that we should do some sort of session out there where
Yeah,
we.
let's do a call. Let's call in some of our friends,
So I guess by next week we'll figure out what day we could do it.
and we can invite people to join us if they're
That's
coming.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Great. I'm also doing something at Giant Rock. Have you been to Giant Rock?
No, yeah. Mm-mm. Yeah, you told me about it yesterday.
Where the original UFO gatherings were out in the Joshua Tree area. So Anyway, Val, great to see you again.
Likewise, I'm giving you a big hug.
Glad you had a good trip, and we will talk soon. And look for, this is a program we call Something Out There, where focus is usually on UFO ET consciousness, but it includes all aspects of this unfolding awareness that's happening to human civilization at this point. So I've been talking to Val TIgnini. TIgnini, is it?
TIgnini.
TIgnini. And your TIGINI.
TIGNI. You don't pronounce the G in Italian.
Oh, you don't pronounce the D. TIgnini.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, I didn't know you didn't pronounce the G. And your website again is?
valsecrets.com. Thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you, and thank you for watching. Tune into New Realities. Go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, youtube.com/newrealities. Thanks. See you soon. Look for me in a few hours with Russell Targ, JJ Hertog, Desiree Hertog for another live stream on this station. Thank you.